With me on this issue, so we know who worked with Jeffrey Epstein in building these sex trafficking rings.
Absolutely, Senator. Child sex trafficking has no place in the United States of America, and I will do everything, if confirmed as FBI director, to make sure the American public knows the full weight of what happened in the past and how we are going to countermand missing children and exploited children going forward.
The saying goes, actions speak louder than words. But inaction also speaks louder than words, and that's what we're dealing with right now. I'm sure I'm going to anger a lot of you with what I'm about to say, those of you still clinging to your illusions. Please trust me when I say I don't care. Where we're at right now, you're either for the children or against the children. My name is Shelley Carter. I have been the adoptive mom of Allison Carter for almost 16 years. Allie was raised as a child sex slave, beginning at the age of 3 months old, according to the CPS reports that I have in my possession. I posted those online. We are just coming off one of the worst smear and slander campaigns against us that I've ever witnessed. It was an attempt to silence Allie and to discredit me. I have literally had every accusation imaginable thrown my way. So believe me when I say, your anger over what I'm about to say won't faze me or shake me in the least. Your response will show me if you stand for or against the children. However, it is my deepest hope that after you lash out at me, you will take a moment to reflect. Reflect on what I'm saying, reflect who I am saying it for, and reflect on why I'm saying it now. Allie was raised in child sex slavery in the United States to be a sex slave to the elite. From infancy, she was sex trafficked, used in satanic bloodletting and sex magic rituals. To be trafficked at that level requires MKUltra programming, which ties to our U.S. government and the CIA. Allie has MKUltra programming. From the MKUltra programming, she has over 200 altars that I've documented. I believe it's closer to 300 or 400. The MKUltra programming was created in the dark shadows of our military by people with evil intent and at the guidance of the Black Panthers bloodline that she was born into. She was programmed as a child to sexually service and feed the evil, greed, and fetishes of the elite we all idolize. My fight began 16 years ago for her safety and for her healing, and for the justice for her and for every child and survivor that experienced the same things she did. As it stands in the United States, conservatively speaking, 8 million children go missing a year. Add to that the 350,000 children missing from the U.S. border who are being trafficked as we speak. You may not understand what that level of fear, pain, and torture look like in the eyes of a child, but I do. I've seen it every day. I've seen it every hour of every day. And each of the 200 of Allie's altars that come up in various stages of fear, pain, torture, and trauma. If you are a parent, I shouldn't have to explain the urgency to you that we as humans should feel to our very core that we need to solve this problem quickly and by any means necessary. If we cannot protect and care for our children, what is the point of anything else? I am disgusted and angry at the inaction of our new officials, tasked with the responsibility of bringing justice for the children. I've not seen urgency in them, but I have seen attempts to gaslight and placate the public. Pamela Bondi, Allie has given you express, verbal, and written permission to unredact her name in the child's porn, ledgers, and the documents you possess from her time at the islands from her time at Diddy's freak-off and white parties, from the numerous visits she was taken to at the Playboy Mansion, from her being trafficked over state lines to Snoop Dogg's 2009 concert in State Line, Nevada, from Oprah Winfrey's house, from being trafficked to Joe Biden's party under the Getty, from being trafficked to Obama, from being trafficked to Michelle, and from hundreds of other buyers listed on the ledgers that you seem determined to keep from the public. Shame on you. You countered Allie's public request to unredact her name, stating you, and I quote, would be keeping survivors' names redacted for their safety. I wonder how Virginia feels about your concern for her safety. I'll tell you how I feel. I, Allie's mom, am doing everything in my power to keep Allie safe, while you're doing everything in your power to keep the buyers of children safe. We are not the same. Am I really to believe in the last 90 days that you could not release information on a single child sex slave buyer? It has been 90 days since you promised to release the Epstein buyers the following day. That was a lie. You said the files were on your desk. That was also a lie. You said there was a truckload of documents and records, but there were only 100 to 200 survivors. That is also a lie. There are thousands and thousands of survivors that span decades. Some living and some dead. We, the American people, are disgusted and exhausted by the games and the lack of urgency coming from your office regarding the children. And when asked you to give a timeline on the release of the information, you volunteered that on your own. And then you lied to every child and survivor when you failed to keep the promise. You broke trust with the American public as your first course of action. You did that. I'm just calling it out. I see your urgency to address and report on every other issue. So, you stepped into your role as director of the FBI, to assess the corruption. Things like information programming that created slaves as humans that were later trafficked because of the corruption. I hope you didn't hope that you would do what you said and be transparent and clean up the corruption at the FBI. There's nothing in the evidence of that. The chaos and confusion that participated in the Bonnie over the Epstein files, whether they were a file folder that was on her desk, whether it was a truckload of tens of thousands of videos and ledgers coming from your office to hers, you created chaos and confusion in that leak of corruption on your part. To add insult to injury, you and your sidekick went on live TV to tell the people that Epstein committed suicide, telling the American public their opinion on something is not transparency. True transparency would be you showing the Epstein files, unredacting the autopsy reports, unredacting any investigative information, and releasing it to the public so we could see it for ourselves. That's what transparency is, and you are not doing any of that. So I have to ask myself, why would the new director of the FBI be covering up and hiding and shielding the buyers on the Epstein list? Why would the head of the DOJ, the Attorney General, why would she be hiding, covering up, stalling for the information of people that are buying children for sex slavery? 30 years ago, I was a sheep and I would have believed everything coming out of your mouth. But 16 years ago, I became the mom of a survivor, and I can see through the bullshit because I see how deep the corruption goes. The most foolish thing that I could be doing right now is calling out to the Attorney General of the United States and the Director of the FBI. That's a death sentence. I understand that, but I also understand the depth of corruption. I also understand the evil that's being done to our children, and I would rather stand boldly and maybe even foolishly for the children's sake than to sit silently and let it continue. As long as there's breath in my lungs, I will continue to stand up to the highest officials on behalf of the children. Anybody I don't care who you are or what position you hold, that is aiding and abetting buyers of children, sex slave traders, should be held accountable to the same punishment. President Trump, will you please audit your people that are in charge of the Epstein list, that are in charge of the Diddy list, and that are supposed to be acting on behalf of the children, because I've not seen an ounce of urgency. I've not seen an ounce of transparency in any of them. To the rest of America, I will continue to stand for the children. I will continue to be a voice for the children and the survivors, even if it costs me my life. But I am asking you to raise your voices with me, because this is on our watch. This is our responsibility. God bless.
Less than a week ago, Bondi said a pile of documents sat on her desk waiting for review. Speaking at a conservative political conference, she mentioned she couldn't discuss the details publicly, but was briefed on the release, which could include Epstein's client list.
You know, President Trump has given a very strong directive, and that's going to be followed.
GOP leaders are growing restless. Representative Anna Paulina Luna posted to Bondi on X asking, "What's the status?" She claims neither Bondi nor the DOJ has responded about the pending release. Two other Republican representatives also taking to the platform asking about the files, location, and to release them. Bondi appeared on Fox News February 21st, repeating her promise to declassify the Epstein documents, gaining support from Republicans who have long pushed for access. In January of last year, a federal judge unsealed hundreds of court documents tied to the Epstein case. Epstein was charged with crimes related to an international sex trafficking ring. While the release provided more insight into the case, including details about victims and high-profile associates, it didn't include the list many are still hoping for. What was made public did not contain the names of individuals who many believe could implicate prominent world leaders and figures. Utah Senator Mike Lee also brought up the release of JFK's assassination and Las Vegas shooter files, calling on Pam Bondi to release the Epstein documents as well. He emphasized on social media that this information the American people deserve to know. This follows an executive order signed by the president to allow the release of assassination files related to JFK, RFK, and Martin Luther King Jr. For Straight Arrow News, I'm Kaylee Carey.
You said Jeffrey Epstein committed suicide. People don't believe it.
Well, I mean, listen, they have a right to their opinion, but as someone who has worked as a public defender, as a prosecutor, who's been in that prison system, who's been in the Metropolitan Detention Center, who's been in segregated housing, you know a suicide when you see one, and that's what that was.
He killed himself. You want me to get, I've
demanding that the FBI turn over thousands of pages that were missing related to Jeffrey Epstein's investigation by the Southern District of New York, setting a strict Friday deadline for the full disclosure. In a letter to FBI Director Kash Patel, Bondi said that she was tipped off after having only been handed over roughly 200 pages from FBI, while the rest remained hidden at the New York field office of the Bureau. She's now ordered the full and complete Epstein files to be turned into her by Friday, including all records, audio and video recordings, and client information. The push for transparency comes as a Republican lawmaker earlier in the day had sounded the alarm over the potential withholding of some of those files. Congressman Andy Ogles of Tennessee is drafting a Preventing Epstein Documentation Obliteration, or PEDO Act, aimed at preventing the records from being destroyed. He cited reports that some agents in the Bureau had already been trying to wipe some of the files. The DOJ earlier on Thursday afternoon released roughly 100 files to several conservative influencers at the White House, handing them over binders with the title, The Epstein Files Phase 1, written on the front cover. Senator Marsha Blackburn is also demanding full transparency about the Epstein documents, saying her efforts to, quote, crack the Epstein trafficking ring wide open had been stonewalled under past administrations. She insists that will change under Director Kash Patel, who was confirmed last week by the Senate. With pressure mounting and accusations of a decades-long cover-up, all eyes are on the FBI to see if it complies with Bondi's ultimatum.